I am Durgesh, and I am excited to welcome you for today's empowering webinar series. The topic for today is the PhD journey, where we will be discussing about key strategies on how to apply, uh, survive, and thrive in the PhD program. Okay, so going back to today's topic. So today we will be discussing mainly about the PhD journey. Uh, when I was an undergraduate student, I thought PhD is such a big deal. It seemed like the most difficult degree in the world for me because I did not know what all it takes. And during the preparation time, I was dealing with questions about why should I do a PhD? I was highly motivated. I wanted to do something really good in aerospace. I did not know what is the right time. I saw people around me joining PhDs right after their undergrad. So I was a little confused. And then I did not know about the application and funding process and how should I decide my research topic. Then after joining PhD, the journey was still not that easy. There were questions about how should I thrive? And these are also questions based on I observed from the people around me. And I saw them facing issues about changing advisors and research topic, dealing with health, finance, and family issues, and also workplace challenges, such as like being discriminated or stereotyped or undermined for their achievements. So we will try to touch on some of these topics today. Of course, in just one session, you can't answer everything, but I just wanted to give you an overview. So now let's see who our audience is today. So for this session, actually we got about 150 responses, and majority of the attendees are from developing countries. And it's interesting to see that about 127 questions were submitted for the session. So definitely we will try to cover them during during the content of the talk and as we go into the live question and answer session. Okay, so another information is about the education, what our audience has today. So most of the audience is doing a master's and PhD degree, and only 8% are already, less than 8% are holding a PhD degree already. So definitely the information we will be discussing today will be highly useful. And just to give you another insight, we also analyzed about 114 responses were from people who were still a student, and 55% of them were enrolled in bachelor's and master program, and 45% of them are pursuing PhD right now. So we will try to tailor our discussion so that we can maximize benefits to all these groups. And an interesting fact here again, we also did a gender analysis, and our 75% of our participants are males, which is great and very encouraging to see. And also we can see how the population of women, even at this stage of participation, is very small. So this only helps us appreciate what we are doing right now today is of use, and hopefully we can provide you with some useful insights for your future endeavors. So with that, I welcome Gladys. She is our guest speaker today. She is a postdoctoral research associate at MIT Space Enabled Lab, and she holds a D.Phil degree in Aerospace Engineering from the University of Oxford. She is originally from Kenya and was also named as Kenya's top 40 under 40 women in technology. And she was also named a rising star in aerospace at MIT in 2021. In her book, The PhD Journey, she has discussed about her own experience and strategies based on the research and survey she performed during her PhD on how to thrive during the PhD program. So with that, without any further ado, I will give it over to Gladys. Welcome, Gladys. Over to you now.
Thank you so much, Durgesh and the organizing team. It's a pleasure, and I'm sorry I took a while to join. I had conflicting things on my agenda, but sorry about that. Let me try and see. You can see my screen first of all?
Yes, we can.
All right.
Right, yes.
Okay, thank you for confirming. So thank you so much again for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. And today I'll mostly just focus on the PhD journey. I'll tell you a little bit about just a brief history of who Gladys is. And then I'll focus most of my energies on the PhD life at Oxford, what I learned and things like that. So let's begin. So this is me in Kenya. And again, I mean, this is an educational forum. So I'm focusing on high school and undergrad. Obviously, there are other photos outside the academic areas. But this was me in high school. I joined high school 2005. And this is my best friend in high school. And we were so excited to begin our high school journey. And we took a photo on day one. And then this is me, undergrad, almost final year. I studied I was born and raised in Kenya, and I studied in Kenya all the way to undergrad. My undergrad was in mechanical engineering, and as you can tell from the picture, our main attire was apron most of the time. We were visiting a power plant, and we were posing for a photo there. So that just gives you a background of who I am. And now, again, I just want to say I'll try to go through these slides as fast as possible, and then we dedicate more time at the end to answer the questions that you guys are interested in knowing. My PhD project at the University of Oxford, that was October 2015 to February of 2019. I don't like words, so I like pictures. And so you'll see a lot of pictures here. I did try to summarize what my PhD was about. My PhD was looking at a particular, for those who are doing aircraft engine cooling, you guys understand film cooling, effusion cooling, transpiration cooling. So I was looking at, and I had to put, coming from Kenya, I had to put a national carrier here. But I was just trying to show where the engine in an aircraft is. And as you can see, that's the engine. And this is kind of showing the intestines of the engine. And mechanically speaking, we have four components. That we have the fan section, we have the compressor, combustor, and turbine section. Now, my PhD was looking at the turbine section. So because the air is sucked in, compressed, and then it burns, and then it comes out really hot and high velocities that drive the turbine section. We are talking 2000 degrees Celsius, and that is really high temperatures. And if we don't do anything about that, we'll melt the downstream components, and unfortunately, you will not be able to get to your destination. So cooling is important, and it's been evolving over time. I think the first cooling ideas started in 1940s, and it's been just a step by step, inch by inch. And we were trying to add some knowledge in the field. And I was looking at particularly what we call double wall effusion cooling, where instead of having one skin, but again, I don't want to go into details, but anyway, this is just a picture. Really, really proud of this, because I spent 4 years researching ways to make cooling more efficient on the turbine. And we were asking the questions about, okay, in terms of cooling, with all these tiny pedestals and two skins, it's really efficient, but how do we manufacture this thing? How is the structural integrity? Because these components, they do rotate at crazy speeds. We are talking 160 plus rotations in 1 second. So that's really like high rotation. So trying to answer all those questions. And I think any research is trying to answer some questions. And so for me, those were some of the questions that I was trying to answer. And then at the end, at the end of my PhD, so I have to say my PhD was funded by Rhodes Scholarship. And I'm happy to chat more about the application process for the audience members who are doing bachelor's degree and they want to try to apply for that. After 4 years, I was feeling like a mini expert in the field of aircraft engine cooling. And now I came from, like I told you, I came from mechanical engineering. This was in aerospace. And every time people called me aerospace engineer, I cringed because I didn't feel like I was an aerospace engineer. So at the end of 4 years, I was like, you know what, let me try and learn more in the field of aerospace. So I accepted Schmidt-Science Fellowship. So I put the link here just so that for anyone who is in their final years of the PhDs, you can apply if you are doing STEM, and I think most of the audience today are mechanical aerospace engineers, and you are final year of your PhD, and you want to step outside of your PhD area. How far out of your PhD area? I don't think it really matters. As long as you want to challenge yourself and step outside of what you've been doing, then you are a good candidate for Schmidt-Science Fellowship. So this was me. It's a family foundation started by Eric Schmidt, ex-Google CEO, and his wife, Wendy. This was me in 2019 receiving the fellowship. So you feel free to check the link, check the website and apply. And I'm happy to chat more about the application process for anyone who is interested in applying. I accepted Schmidt-Science Fellowship in 2019, and I came to MIT June of 2020 to research space propulsion. And now I'm looking at or trying to answer the question, could we use paraffin wax, or what other people call candle wax, just from the normal candle actually, or the cousin is beeswax, for the byproducts of honey production. Could we use these two substances as a potential propellant for particularly small satellites? And we are targeting the orbiting of a satellite. So this is, I mean, you can see this is our planet, and sadly, these are the debris, all the garbage that we've been leaving there in orbit for ages. Now, going into the future, for this to be sustainable, people have to bring down their satellites at the end of satellite mission. And so we are asking, could we research eco-friendly fuels that could be used for that mission? And the reason we are excited about this is because a small satellite normally, or satellites would have thermal insulators on the surface to protect it from solar radiations. And we are asking, thermal to protect it from the heat, in short. Now we are asking, could we use this wax, because it's a PCM, it's a phase change material. Could we use it as a rectangular panel to protect the satellite from thermal radiations? And then at the end of the mission, 2 years, 3 years down the line, we could melt that wax and then use it as a fuel, serving two or killing two birds with one stone, if you will. So anyway, it's exciting research, and it's just like any other research. It's a long journey before it's used, but I'm excited about it. My PhD life, I did so many things outside my research. At some point, I think my friends used to joke that I was doing my PhD part-time, and I actually think I was. So as you know, for those who are in the journey already, PhD has a way of, it's a roller coaster, if I was to summarize it. There were some days I would do some numerical simulations on the computer or do experiments, and I'm excited. Yeah, I'm changing the world. And then there were some days I had, I don't know, 1,000 data points, and I'm like, what am I doing again? What am I doing in this world? Will this even help the world? Anyway, so you move from those high emotions to low, to high, to low. And for so many moments, and for those of you, again, who are in the PhD, you know, like those low moments are so many. For me, when I was going through like low moments in my research, track events, soccer, traveling kind of helped a great deal. Because again, what I realized towards the end of my PhD is, and I regret a bit that I didn't realize this earlier, is that I think generally, naturally, as human beings, we do want to feel useful. We want to feel important. And I realized that it doesn't that importance doesn't have to come from your research. As long as you're doing something, as long as you are working towards a goal, it could be outside your research, but as long as you're working towards something, it makes you feel fulfilled and happier as a person. At least that was my experience. So I did varsity level track events. This was me. So I'll start from up here. This was me competing for 400-meter hurdles. This is the really prestigious athletics competition between University of Oxford and University of Cambridge. And it's an annual once in a year event. And yeah, it's everything that we used to do throughout the year was just geared towards that one day. This was May of 2018. I'm really proud of this picture because this was the day I ran the best, personal best time in 400-meter hurdles. And for the first time, I got what they call Oxford Blues, and it's just a prestigious award. Here, we were visiting Israel with some friends. So there were these grants, travel grants. I applied to so many of them. Again, I would encourage people who are in the PhD journey. Your PhD is not going to go anywhere. Take time off, apply for those grants and travel. I think they will help you. They will help you kind of contextualize your situation. Sometimes you feel like you're not doing enough or you whatever. Anyway, it just helps you to debrief, get out of your PhD and refresh, rejuvenate. This was me, 15 October, really excited for the PhD journey. I was matriculating first week, or was it second week of my admission. This is me playing soccer. I do play soccer. I enjoy recovering from ACL. You can see I have a cast there. I had an ACL tear, which is a ligament in the knee, and I had to do a surgery. But again, fun fact, but that's my life outside work. Now, I apologize because I will not be able to go through all the important things that Durgesh mentioned on those important key elements of applying for a PhD and all those other categories. But I just thought of putting here few of them that I think are important. Personally, coming from Kenya, I think when I was in 2014, that's when I was applying for the scholarship. I did not know that there were scholarships to be applied. It's a friend who told me to try. And actually, fun fact is I got my scholarship, or Rhodes Scholarship is listed under in this website called Scholarships for Development. So this is where I actually got.
Seems like Gladys got frozen. Hi, I think, yeah, I have no idea. You got frozen, and perhaps we can start again. So yeah, I just wanted to use this pause a little bit. So thank you for sharing about your journey so far. Before we go into your tips on application and funding and all other those things, I noticed that you tried to live a very fulfilling life during your PhD as well. And also you were quite what should I say, aware about applying to different kind of scholarships and grants. So thank you for sharing that information with us. So yeah, now let's go further into what are your tips about different topics which I suggested.
Awesome. Okay. So the funding is important, obviously. And then there is a research topic and advisor, which I think in retrospect are the most important things, particularly the advisor bit. So personally, I joined research with barely any research experience. I came directly from undergrad in Kenya, and I went directly into research heavy PhD program. I think most UK PhDs are research heavy. We didn't have classes, etc. So anyway, my advisor played a key role in supporting me and kind of mentoring me to be able to do good research. And when I look back, I think that's the number one thing, the best thing that happened to me. And so just to say, for people who are planning to go into the journey, I think advisor is really important to check on that. So make sure you talk to, I mean, with social media, you should be able to access profiles of students who are in the lab where you want to join. Ask them their opinion on what they think the advisor is like, blah, blah. And I think the only caveat here is they just listen to the experiences, but their experiences might be different from your experiences. But again, if it's 100%, if everyone doesn't like that advisor, then I think it might be good to play safe, but just look for opinions, and then be professional. So I've gotten so many, and I think we were chatting with my friend. It's just sad, and this is what I did exactly. I actually write it in the book. I used a very unprofessional email address, and yeah, it was just so unprofessional email. And then I was trying to get replies from professors. So needless to say, I got very few replies. This is when I was looking for an advisor back in 2014. So just to say, it's really important to be professional. So when you are contacting someone, be it the student, if you want to get their experiences, or a professor or whoever, I think it's important to package the message really well. Introduce yourself, who you are, write a professional email, if possible, maybe attach a resume, and just remember, just think of where they are, like how busy they are, etc. And if you were them, would you actually pay attention to whatever you've written? So that's a lesson that I kind of learned when I look back now. I didn't pay attention to, I just thought, I'm a brilliant student, they should be lucky to have me. But again, they don't know you yet. So you have to package your message really well. Now, on the lessons that I learned, on top of the list is inspiration is perishable. And I really like this statement. This statement comes from, a book I read, it's called Rework, R-E-W-O-R-K, Rework. And their conclusion is inspiration is perishable. And this is something that I learned towards the end of my PhD, that inspiration comes, and if you don't act on it, if you wait a day, a month, it will go. It will not wait for you. So when inspiration comes, use it. And there are two things that will help you with this. So the first one is there is something they call commitment device. So inspiration comes. So I remember when inspiration came for me to write the book, I told a friend that I'm writing a book, a friend that we have a good relationship with. So they kind of kept me accountable. And there were days that I did not feel like writing anything. Yeah, but anyway, so they kind of accountability and things like that. And then number two, on inspiration is perishable, is it helps for those who are in the journey already. It helps to remember that PhD is not a product, it's a process. And I think for me, I overanalyzed, I overprepared, mostly because I thought anything that I did should be like magical, should be big. But as you realize, it's just like tiny little steps. And so don't let overanalyzing, overpreparing stop you from doing whatever you feel inspired to do. So those are two main things. Number two, and also very important, is you have to create immunity for imposter syndrome. And I understand imposter syndrome attacks people differently to different degrees. I understand from research it affects women more than men. There are so many theories why. And I have to say, I felt like imposter when I started my PhD. I was coming from a relatively small university in Kenya, and then to go to the University of Oxford, it was really intimidating. And the first few months, I felt like an imposter. And it took me a while to be confident, to raise my hand, to volunteer, to talk about my research, because I kept thinking I don't know enough. I know less than these people. And I regret that a lot. Now, when I look back, I know that many people do have fear, or they face imposter syndrome, but most people don't show. And so sometimes you feel like people are really confident, but they're just like really struggling with their own fears inside. They just don't show. So anyway, just to say, your PhD is a long journey, and there will be a lot of imposter syndromes along the way. Just move forward. Don't let it stop you, is my advice. The third one is be kind to yourself. It's a long journey. Life is happening. You're going to lose loved ones. I lost my brother when I was in third year of my PhD, and it had a massive impact in my life. And I actually write it in the PhD book that I recently released. So the only thing I regret is I kind of rushed the process, just mostly because I felt like I needed to finish my PhD and etc. And then I came to suffer the consequences later, etc. But just be kind to yourself. Again, PhD is a learning process. It's not a product. It's not an end product. And as such, because it's a learning process, you're going to fail inevitably. You're going to have setbacks. You're going to miss some important things here and there. So it's just important that you be kind to yourself. And I will stop here, and we can talk about more. We can do Q&A, but you can scan this code on the left to purchase paperback from Amazon, or you can take these links and then you can check ebook as well. And then on the right side, you can stay in touch with me. Shoot me yes, Twitter, and then you can go to my website and contact me through the contact form there if you have any question, if you want a signed book, etc. So I'll stop there. Durgesh, back to you.
Thank you so much, Gladys. It was so exciting to see your journey, and also thank you for sharing. I can't agree more with whatever you said about all these topics, specifically for inspiration being perishable. That's so true. Like sometimes we feel like we can win the world today, and then the next day we are back to the normal. So it's very important to use that motivation. And you shared a really good trick about finding friends who can keep you accountable, and that definitely helps. So I hope all the audience is noting down all the tips here. Then you also shared about the imposter syndrome, and that's definitely true that women in general face imposter syndrome more than men. And basically the main reason is coming from because we don't have enough role models, and the main problem here is about academic belonging. We don't see enough people like us succeeding in these careers. And I will also point out it's not only about women. Any underprivileged community where they don't have enough people like them in the same field, they do feel imposter syndrome. So that is why also one of the reasons I founded WeLEAP Aerospace, where we can highlight work by women leaders and minority groups and people specifically from underprivileged countries and underrepresented groups. So thank you for that. And you also touched upon a very sensitive topic about dealing with a family related issue during your PhD, and how we can only imagine how difficult it would have been to persevere in those circumstances. So at this point, I would open the floor for questions. You can raise your hands and enter your questions in the chat. Shreya will be moderating the question and answer session. So she will be picking audiences based on their question, and you will be asked to unmute yourself and ask question. So in the meantime, when everybody is typing their questions, I will select some questions which were pre-submitted. So Gladys, I have a question for you, and which I thought, and basically for both of us, I thought which might be of use for most people. So one student is asking about what is the main criteria which is looked into the selection of a PhD candidate. So you can start with your response, and then I can give some insight.
What is the criteria for selecting PhD students?
Yes.
Okay, I suppose I obviously I'm not a recruiter, and I think that's a question for someone who recruits. But from my experiences, and again, this will really differ. Having been in the US for 1 year now, I think I've just seen like massive differences between PhDs in the US and PhDs in the UK. So those are just two like two different countries trying to compare. And I suppose across the world, we have like different requirements, different entry criteria, different milestones before you graduate. So a caveat, just to say a caveat here is I'm talking about my experiences doing a PhD at a UK institution. So in my experience, I think two main things. So personally, I got the scholarship before I applied for admission. And I think that's really, it's not common. I think many people apply for admission and then apply for scholarship all at the same time. Again, these things, I feel like they really differ depending on the scholarship, depending on the institution, etc. So for me, I received the Rhodes Scholarship first, and then from there now we applied for admission. And so when I'm answering this question, I think I'm biased towards getting funding first and foremost. And so number one is, I think if you have funding, so for instance, when we were contacting, and I'm using we because the Rhodes Scholarship helped me talk to the University of Oxford and go through the application process. Now, when we were applying, when I was applying with the help of the Rhodes Trust, the point was Gladys has funding and Gladys has this foundational knowledge in this area that she wants to do a PhD in. And I feel like from admission point of view, if you have funding, you have GPA requirements or I don't know, whatever, academic requirements that they want, and you have a supervisor. I feel like those are, if you tick all those boxes, it should be fairly easy. Not really fairly easy, but for me, I feel like those were the things that determined my admission. So, and again, for me, I had to look for an advisor first before applying for admission. I think in the US it's different. You get into a PhD system, and then I think you kind of try and get your advisor along the way. And I mean, it would be good to also get a point of view from someone who has a different perspective. But yeah, for me, when I was doing an application, I think funding, advisor, and GPA requirements, I think kind of were the things that I ticked, and I think they wanted those.
Okay, I will give a quick insight on that before we move to Francesco. I see his hand raised. So yeah, I will give perspective on US PhD applications. So in US, mainly your advisor funds you. So basically, you can still dream of being in US. You can aspire for that if you have very good understanding of whatever you have done so far. If having a good work experience also helps. Being on top of your degree, like being in top 0.1% students in your college or university, really helps. And also your statement of purpose, what you are proposing to do and how motivated you are in your cover letter. Those things really help your prospective advisor to take you. Okay, so very brief. So, okay, let's move to Francesco. You can go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, very nice to meet you. Thank you so much, Gladys. It was very nice to hear your journey, and congratulations on everything, your successes and everything else. I have a quick question on how. So I am in my PhD program, almost at the end. I have, this is the point where I'm starting to look for other opportunities. And my question is very simple. Like, you spend maybe more than 4 years, let's say, in one place, and you got very attached to the reality there and professors, your friends. And how did you choose to move, or how did you choose the postdoc opportunity, to move to the US or another country? Because I'm facing the same kind of, should I move and, go towards another opportunity, or should I stay and maybe find something local or, close where I am building my life now?
Thank you, Francesco. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Yeah. Francesco is fine. Thank you.
Francesco. Okay. That's a very nice question. I would say three things. So the first for me was the fellowship. So I received the fellowship, and the only requirement is for you to step outside your PhD area, and I was willing to do that. I was yearning to step outside jet engine cooling and see something else outside. And they were supportive of that, and they were willing to support me through the journey. So that's number one. I knew there was support, and I was willing, and I wanted to step outside my PhD area. And while stepping outside my PhD area, I also wanted, so number two is I also wanted to explore the world. I had been in the UK for 4 years, and I wanted to just be somewhere else. I was actually looking at all over the world. And then the research that I was interested in happened to be here in the US at MIT. And I was like, you know what, let's do this, another continent. And then number 3 is family. Like I was really, I didn't have, say, like a partner and kids and things like that I feel like sometimes can limit your movements. So I want to say, like, on that, I was really flexible. And yeah, it was easy to move. I was like the only one moving, and it didn't have implication on anyone else in my life. And I want to say it's scary. I was scared. I even stepping outside my PhD area, I was really scared. I just felt like all the things that I had done, all the building blocks that I built or accumulated for 4 years were just going to go to the shelf. That's what I thought. But now looking back, I'm happy I did the switch, because I've learned a lot. I mean, in terms of writing papers, obviously it's kind of slowed me down because I have to learn this new area enough for me to start writing papers again, but I don't regret it.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, because it's very, you know where we are, but we don't know where we go. So it's, it's super hard to make that decision. But thank you so much for your perspective. It was very useful.
No worries, Francesco. And just sorry to add one thing is, at least this is what gives me a lot of confidence. I don't know if you've listened to Steve Jobs' commencement speech at Stanford, I think 2006, and he talks about the idea of, as an ambitious person, there are so many moving things and so many junctions at any given time, and he talks about this idea of moving forward anyway with the hope and the trust that the dots will connect when you look back 5 years, 10 years down the line. So every time I find myself in a junction, I just go with my gut feeling, and I'm like, I'm actually not sure if this is the right junction, but let me just go give the best and hope that 5 years, 10 years, when I look back, they're going to magically connect. Mm-hmm. So that's what I use all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see there is some risk taking involved in getting success, as usual, right? So, okay, with that, let's move on to our next question. Spandan, you can unmute yourself and ask the question.
Thank you, Gladys and Durgesh. So I'm almost nearby the end of my PhD. I wanted to say that when I was starting my PhD, I had a certain kind of expectation from my work. Okay, and now when I'm close to my end, unfortunately, I am a bit short of the expectations that I had when I was beginning my work. Okay, so how to compromise this expectation during beginning of the PhD and the ending of a PhD, and then be okay with it rather.
Now, I don't know if I understand correctly what you mean by expectations. Like, were you expecting that it's?
Yeah, I was actually expecting my work.
Yeah. Sorry?
Yeah, actually, I was expecting a certain kind of, an altruistic effect of my work, or rather it will be used further by people. But right now, when I'm about to complete, it's not exactly that much wonderful or, that much altruistic, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But it's okay.
So what's your name? Spandan?
I'm Spandan. My name is Spandan.
Okay, Spandan. Welcome to the research world.
Yeah.
And I think sorry to reduce you, but that's exactly, I feel like you should go to, there is this website called Ph.D comics.
Yeah, I have subscribed them in Instagram.
Okay, yeah. So you know the image, the cartoon image that I'm trying to refer to. Like, you get in first year and you are like, Nobel Peace Prize. Exactly. I'm going to get this thing in the next 5 years. I'm going to be a professor in the next. And then reality just kicks in and motivation just like wanes. And by the time you graduate, you're like, you know what, let's just be done with this thing and I go home. And I think everyone goes through that. Different degrees, obviously, but everyone goes through that. So just to say, be kind to yourself, Spandan. And it's the world. I think it's just the reality of things. And also, we don't do justice when these universities advertise. I remember seeing the advertisement of my research in the University of Oxford website, and I was like, wow, I don't think I can do that thing. Like not really the jargon, but the words, like we are delivering state of art state-of-art future cooling technologies for spacecrafts. And I was like, I want to be part of this thing. And then I get in and okay. By the time I was graduating, I was like, okay, you know. So I think it's just the world, and it's just the way research is. So don't beat yourself. You're doing well. Just graduate. Just defend that thesis. You will be good.
Thanks, Gladys. And I will also share some insight on that. So yes, not all PhDs are made to be, like highlighted in technical world or getting a lot of awards. We see a lot of time, like if there are about 100 PhD students, maybe 2 or 3 are getting highlighted in media, but not all. So, but that's not the end of your PhD. PhD is basically the process where you learn these problem solving skills. You become an expert in that particular field, and you are like one of the very few experts in that field in the whole world, actually. So you need to have that proud in yourself, that confidence in yourself. And it also equips you with fundamental knowledge where you can shape the direction of research, even if you go to industry. And if your PhD research was not that highlighted in the media, you still have chances to go for a postdoctoral research and, keep pursuing your dream. So basically, it's more about you really enjoying your PhD and you being satisfied with that, rather than thinking if I'm not getting appreciated enough by others. And of course, maybe it's not exactly what you are feeling, but I'm trying to capture majority of questions which I also saw in the responses. So yeah, I will just end with that. Like, if you are happy with your PhD and you have confidence, you can still succeed. It's never late. Okay, so let's move on to our next question. I see Dipayan Mukherjee on chat has typed. Dipayan, would you like to unmute yourself and ask your question, or I can read it for you? Okay, so he basically asked, he's joining from Cambridge, UK. Thank you for the inspiring talk. Just curious, what are your long-term academic goals? Gladys.
Wow, that sounds like an interview question. But now here I'll just be honest, and the honesty, the truth is, no idea. I generally am, and I think we were discussing with Durgesh the other day. When I started my PhD, I wanted to be a professor, and I think like Spandan said, things quickly changed, and I'm okay with that. I think life should be like that. That right now you desire to do something, and then in the next 2 years it changes, and it's okay. I think it's okay. That's what I'm learning to do, to say, you know what, I wanted to be a professor, but now not so much, and that's fine. And now I'm just like looking for opportunities to exit academia. I want to try industry before I completely make up my mind, and that's where I am. But again, even if I'm also thinking about going to an MBA school, because I have some entrepreneurial spirit and bug in me. And so I have all these junctions. And like I had said before, every time I'm at a junction, I stop and I ask myself, I want to do all these things. What can I start with? And then down the line, it's fine. I think you can recalibrate your career. So to be honest, I have no idea, but I want to I'm inching outside academia for now, and I want to try industry or a startup. Yeah. So anyway, I have so many interests.
Thank you for sharing, Gladys. And just to let our audience know that Gladys has to move to a different Zoom call. So I don't think she can take any questions anymore, but I will be here and WeLEAP members will be here to take further questions and have the discussion. So thank you, Gladys, for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it meant
Thanks
a
for
lot.
having, it's been fun.
Yeah, and we will be sharing all the slides and useful resources to all the registered participants, and you can definitely reach out us later. This is just the beginning of one of many webinars, so a lot to come.
Yes,
Okay.
and also you will share the promotions that we have next week for the book, so stay tuned.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and all the best, everyone, in your life, in your career. Be kind to yourself.
Thank you, Gladys. Okay, so thank you, everybody. I hope you all learned something new today. Myself and WeLEAP members will still be on the call for next 15 minutes, so we can still answer your questions. So feel free to stay on the call, and I will start taking questions which I have in chat so far. So I saw Shubhi was trying to ask a question. So Shubhi, would you like to unmute yourself and ask question?
Hello.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. Hello, ma'am. It's nice to have such a great opportunity to talk to you guys. And I just have a question regarding the postdoc applications in well-known universities like Stanford and MIT. So I just want to know that is like should we approach directly to the faculty, or is there any standard way of approaching for such university? Means how much that research plan and other things matters while mailing a professor.
Yeah, you asked a very important question. Thank you for that. So I will start with my insight. So are you a student right now? Could you just share a little
I
bit?
just completed my PhD thesis and submitted in IIT Kanpur.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you're asking about postdoc opportunities. Okay. Okay. So first I will say, of course, whatever work you have done in PhD, that really matters. Like, for example, if you are coming from India and you're trying to apply in US or UK, then definitely being being recognized in your university definitely helps. Like, for example, best PhD award or some highlights. But if that has not happened, as I mentioned before, is still your industrial work experience helps. So I know that you are a fresh PhD student coming. In your case, the best thing is focus on your research statement. Like, be really sure about what you are proposing. It should be justified technically, and it should also be feasible. You should not be like suggesting something which is just impossible, and you're just saying, okay, I will do this and that, and providing no logical reasoning behind that, like how will you achieve it, what are the tools necessary, do you have everything in hand, or if not, how will you prepare for that. Then about the application process, for the postdoc positions, there are like formal openings on the university websites. So for example, I finished my PhD from University of Minnesota here in US, and then I started applying for postdoc positions. And definitely you have to do both. You have to go on the web portal of different institutions and keep looking for openings and apply formally. But also, if you have been going to the conferences and you made some connections during your PhD, for example, you presented your work and some professor attended your talk with whom you might be interested to work in, you can definitely reach out to them and mention that. If that has not happened, then I will say, like, directly contacting to professors is, sometimes your email will just go in a spam folder. So you can definitely email, but try not to be too long in your email. Just write a very short introduction about yourself, like what you are doing currently. Like, for example, you are a fresh PhD student, and tell your field, and then just quickly move on to what specific topic you are aspiring to work on. And it's not advisable to attach too much information in your first email to a new professor who does not even know you. So just have enough information to pique their interest. So if at all they will read it, they will, reply back to you. And you will have to apply to a lot of places. Like, for example, sure. Go ahead.
Just for the email, like you said that it should be short. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So it should be short. So means the first email should not contain any research plan.
You can attach it. You just mention that I have attached, if you for your perusal. So if they are interested, they will look into it. But the main email body should not be like, multiple paragraphs. It should just be like one paragraph.
Okay. I understood. So
Okay.
the better way is to go through the website and try to find the opportunity. And this is the another way to approach them, but the chances will be very less as compared to the first one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Thank you so much.
yeah. And I will tell you, I had done like about like 50 or 50 to 80 applications when I was applying for PhD. And I had contacted so many professors, and I knew, I now know that they just went to spam folder. And even right now, as a postdoc, I keep getting a lot of emails from people who want to pursue PhD in my lab. And most of the time it goes to spam folder. So you have to be ready for that. So also you can connect people through LinkedIn. And that's why also I created this network here at WeLEAP. So if somebody knows you already in that lab, they can probably, take your name to that professor, and it increases your chances.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, thank
So
you.
I will definitely start with the website. Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, anybody else has any questions? I'm also looking at chat because there was one more question. Okay, seems like nobody has questions in the Zoom room right now. So I will select one question which was pre-submitted. Okay, I just see 2 new messages. Okay, that was the last one from the chat. So I'm selecting one question from the pre-submitted questions. It was about how to decide a good problem statement and how to start when it seems to be so disordered at the beginning and keep patience to sort this out. So again, how to decide a good problem statement? First, think about what is the field of interest you want to work on. What is the future of that field? So for example, right now I am working on electrified aircraft design. And recently the industry has been moving towards electric aviation. So for example, let's say you are aspiring for that same field. So you see that, okay, what are the state of the art right now? What are the chances of development in coming 5 years, 10 years from now? And how can I contribute? If you could find a topic which is also of your interest, but is also kind of revolutionary or in a very early phase of development, you have bigger chances of, creating a bigger impact. But also if there is not enough funding, you might struggle with funding a little bit. So yeah, you will have to do a trade-off. You will also have to have backup options. So like for example, you can have your one primary area of research or is very specific topic, which is your like the main focus, but you also have one or two subtopics where you keep applying. So be little bit flexible. And then the second part was how to start when it seems to be so disordered at the beginning and keep patience. So yeah, I mean, perseverance is the key in life. Always, like PhD is just one very extreme example of all the struggles pouring at you at the same time. However, you can keep, every single day you have to just remind yourself that I am here because I really want to do it, and I am expert in my field. I can do some great work for the industry, for the society, or whatever is your personal goal. And yeah, just remind yourself, as they say, motivation is like brushing your teeth. You need it daily. So I'll leave it with that. So with that, I would end the question and answer for today. If anybody has any, okay, I just see one question here, so we'll take that. Dia Singhal. Dia is saying, what should we prioritize for a PhD advisor or better university? Dia, would you like to unmute yourself and tell a little bit about, are you a student or are you doing a bachelor's, PhD?
Hi, Durgesh.
Hi.
Yeah, so I'm currently a third year undergraduate student and I'm thinking of pursuing my PhD rightly after completing my undergrad. So this is the question like that kind of worries me. Like I actually had a research experience from a professor like who is in a Canada university So I work with him, but sometimes I get this confusion that maybe some universities at US, they are much better. So this question kind of like confuses me whether I should focus more on working with an advisor with whom I have like prior experience, or should I opt for a better university?
Yeah, sure. So this is a very common question actually. And the ideal will be if you can find both, right? If you can find an opportunity in a highly reputed university and the research topic is also of your interest, that will be the best case scenario. But if that does not happen, you can also, because PhD is a long time commitment. So you should be liking that particular research topic at least up to some extent. It should not be like completely opposite. Like, for example, for myself, I really am passionate about aerospace engineering, but not at all passionate about software development. For example, so, I will just share a personal story. Recently, I have been trying to find jobs in industry, and it has been tough because aerospace engineering is a sensitive field, so you can't get a job without a green card or citizenship. So but I know that I can't go into software. I really want to go into aerospace only if I want to go to industry. So yeah, you have to be sure of yourself. First of all, what are main topics or some secondary choices where you can compromise a little bit. Doing PhD from a reputed institution definitely helps because people feel like it gives you a certain brand reputation, and it's not useless actually. It has reasoning, because if you go to a institution like MIT, Stanford, they have a very rigorous process, and if you succeed there from there with a PhD degree, they ask you to do a lot of work actually, and if you are successful in that, that shows that you are capable. So that is why the brand name is there. So I will say you can compromise a little bit if you are getting a really good opportunity at a highly reputed institution and the research topic, maybe it was not your first choice, but it was still in your top 3-4 choices. But having said that, don't go to a reputed university for any random topic either, because there are still, like, for example, going to a smaller university for the PhD topic, but being very passionate about your research and doing great work will also help you, because in that particular university, you might be the only one, or you might be the pioneer of that particular field. So that also gives you a lot of, opportunities for future as well, for creating an impact and being successful. So, but that also comes with a cost of, sometimes you will be demotivated. Sometimes you will feel like your work is not recognized enough. Sometimes you will feel that, oh, it's a small university. So you will have to deal with all that. But if you are mentally strong, if you are prepared, if you already know what you are putting yourself into, you will succeed. And basically, at the end of the PhD, you are going to be the expert in that particular field. May it be a small university or a bigger university. If you are doing your job correctly, you will get opportunities. I have seen people coming to MIT from smaller places as well, and that works. So, it's never the end of anything. Hope it answers your question.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else has questions? Okay. Okay, Shiv is saying something. Shiv, would you like to unmute yourself and convey what you are trying to say? Shiv Nag Sharma. Okay, I see Dinesh's hand. So I will quickly go through what Shiv was saying. He's saying, please take it as a appreciation text. I don't have any questions. I'm not a fan of PhD, but when I interact with people like you, I definitely get moved. Kudos. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. PhD is like, you don't have to do PhD just for the sake of it. You can still be successful without a PhD. So thank you for your text, Shiv. Okay, so let's see. We have one question from Dinesh. Dinesh, would you like to go ahead?
Yeah, hello. Do you hear me?
Hi. Yes.
Yeah. Hi. So myself, Dinesh, I'm currently doing my master's at Politecnico di Milano, Italy, and I've completed my coursework and about to finish my thesis work. So I am doing it in space engineering. So some curiosity about your last answer, like the struggle that you face as an aerospace engineer into joining into the space agencies, at which place we do our education. So how did you tackle it? Because most of the time I get opportunity in startups, but I don't know like this startup works, how much long I can sustain in abroad. Whether to land in very good space agency, I require like permanent residence with all those things. So how did you tackle the situation for some time, or what is your future plan about this particular issue?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a very good question. And actually, it's a reality. So, like coming from an international background, even though you get, you get a degree from US, right now it is little bit difficult if you want to go into sensitive fields such as space or military research. And yeah, you need to have a citizenship or green card for that. So one of the solutions, like there are multiple ways to, stick around. So after your PhD, you can apply to national labs. Again, there are very limited opportunities there, and most of them are restricted to citizens if there is anything space related, or even sometimes like I see those are like aerospace jobs. They're not that sensitive, but it's still restricted to student residents only. So I think you will have to be like very strong in that case, because you are trying to enter into a field which is restricted. So which has been the case for me. So I will give you some tips on that. One option is to stay in academia doing postdoc and apply for a green card in the meantime. But also I would tell that green card process is more competitive for Indian citizens, because we have a lot of competitive people applying for green card or residency. So of course in US specifically, it's a big struggle. Then if you stay in academia, you can get academic H-1B visa immediately. So that is one way where you can stick around and keep publishing more papers and serving in technical communities. For example, recently I had applied to AIAA technical committees. AIAA is the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics, which is the largest corporation here in US. You might be aware. So yeah, like getting involved with these organizations, and if there are any awards or scholarships or even technical committee memberships, they are competitive, but keep applying for them. They help your profile getting better. So later on, you can apply for a green card and you increase your chances. There is also a special visa category, which is called O1 visa category. And it is for like, it's for extraordinary capability individuals. So again, if you have a very good publication record and you have strong recommendation letters which you can provide, O1 visa is also an option. But of course, like during all, so it takes a very long route, like rather than just after the PhD you joining into the space agencies, now you have to wait for like 5 years, 6 years, who knows how many years. So you have to be like very patient with the process. And yeah, there are actually not, there is no way to accelerate it other than just like improving your profile, staying persistent and not losing hope. And maybe in the meantime, using your industry experience. And even startups are not that bad. They give you a very good chance of like learning new skills and demonstrating what you already have. You also get to explore new dimensions of what you had never thought in the beginning. So yeah, they are a good option also to, they give you some time to stay in US.
Yeah, I think I got some points from you, so I'll try to implement it. And one more doubt is regarding like, since I'm about to complete my master's at Italy, whether it is a good option for aerospace engineer, like considering your background, would you suggest me to continue my PhD at Europe itself, or go to US, which you would prefer as an aerospace engineer, maybe from your understanding?
So you said your PhD is in maths, right?
Space engineering.
Space engineering. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So again, I will say I have seen people coming here, like one of my very close friend who was a postdoc here. She came from Germany. She had a degree in applied math, PhD degree in applied math, and she was here at MIT Aeroastro as a postdoc. So but her research was really great in her field, and she was recognized in her country. So yeah, it's not, if you are in a small university, it's not that your chances are none, but you have to like work extra hard to show that your whatever you have done is really worth it. They should really take you. So for example, you can finish your PhD there, you will still have chances to come here as a postdoc, but make sure that you do your best in your PhD there. And also try to go to more conferences and have some invited talks, like whatever you can do in your capacity to be more visible to people. And I will also say have very high research publication profile as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. And yeah, none of that is easy, actually. I am going through the same process, and it takes a lot of like faith in my own self. And sometimes I feel like, what is it like? Is it my fault of being from India and trying to do a space engineering? Because just I am seeing right here in US, there are people coming from other smaller countries, and they are getting visas immediately because there are not many people coming from those countries. But from India and China, we have a huge backlog of people. So we whatever privileges or disadvantages we have just because of where we were born, we can't fight with them. We have to live with them. We have to accept them. And given that, now what do I do? Rather than being worried about, oh my God, people from these countries, they are getting all the green card and all the opportunities, and I'm not getting that. What should I do? So yeah, you don't have, like, we all should always see what are the positive things of what I have today and how to make the best use of that.
Did you ever think about coming back to India and applying to like maybe ISRO or something like that? Because I see there are some options, like after you complete your PhD with the 2 years of international experience, you can directly apply to ISRO. So did you give any chance towards those things also?
Yeah, so my personal goals are not in that direction. Of course, these are opportunities, and they are also open for you and all the PhD students. So of course, if you have a PhD from abroad and you have done some good work, your chances in India increase dramatically. And you can join ISRO, you can be a professor in IITs, NITs, IISc, and that's also a very good option. I would say a much better option in the way, like, being a professor in US is extremely challenging because you have to find all the funding for your students as well, like on top of like all the research activities. Whereas in India, professors are funded through the government to fund their students. So they have one less thing to worry about. So definitely that's a good option. And if you are considering, it's depending on your personal goals, and you should definitely apply there. So hope it helps.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Okay, let's go to our next question. I see Vigneshwaran has, yeah, you can ask.
Hi, Durgesh. Yeah. Thank you so much for this organizing this seminar. Yeah, my question is more of a personal kind of question. Like during your PhD, did you change something that was that is unique to you? Like, and was it worth it?
Did I change something? Okay.
Yeah.
I need to think about it. So I'll tell one thing. I was very clear right from my childhood that I wanted to work from NASA. As soon as I had got to learn about NASA, I was like just amazed based on those space documentaries. And initially I wanted to be an astronaut. Then I learned about, citizenship requirements. And then I thought perhaps being aerospace engineer is the only thing I can do. And then I was very clear, okay, I will go to IIT, and then from there I will directly go for a PhD. But when I did my BTech and MTech dual degree program from IIT Kanpur in aerospace engineering, after that I got an offer at GE. And that time I was not prepared I was scared a little bit about PhD, like PhD itself and the application process also. I was scared of GRE exam. Can you imagine? I was thinking, how would I do it? Because I'm a first generation student and English was not my first language. Of course, in India, it's not, but I was never taught in English before, and IIT was the first time. I had never used computers before coming to IIT. So yeah, it was like a huge leap. So yeah, so I was like, okay, what should I do now? And I was feeling very much of an imposter syndrome, even though by the end of my dual degree program at IIT Kanpur, I was like rank 2 in my program, and in the aerospace engineering program. Still I was underconfident. So I thought perhaps going to industry will help me assessing my skills, and then GE is a US based company, so having work experience there will help me for my PhD path. So I went there. I joined at GE in Bangalore. I was working on aircraft engine design, and first year I was very motivated to go for PhD, but then in second year I was confused. I was like, okay, I already have this good job and I have a degree from IIT, and even like all the pressure from the family about having enough degrees already, so it kind of delayed my PhD efforts. But I was really motivated to come to NASA, and I knew that I have to do a PhD because I really want to be one of those experts. And in GE itself, we had people who were in senior positions, and most of them had PhD degree. And whenever we had innovation sessions or discussions, the way they spoke, and I saw their knowledge, I saw how they think about a problem, and it really inspired me to get into a PhD. So then I moved to, so I was like, okay, I have to give it a chance. So in my third year at GE, I applied, and then I got selected for University of Minnesota. They have a very good hypersonics program there. But I was being an Indian student, and I had no experience in space engineering by that time. So when I came to PhD, in my heart, I wanted to do a project funded by NASA, but I had no experience. So I had experience in turbo machinery. So I thought, okay, maybe I should only go to that professor because I already have some experience. So I would say one thing I changed is having more faith in myself. I saw there were my fellow students who were just coming with a bachelor's in engineering. They also did not have any experience in spacecraft engineering, and they were going to all the professors and talking. Then I told to myself, if they are going, I can also go and at least have a chat. So then I approached to my professor, and his name is Graham Candler. He is highly reputed for the hypersonics, computational hypersonics in the whole world. And it's like a dream come true to if you can, get to work with him. So then I raised my expectation. I was like, okay, I will go to Professor Candler and show my perseverance in a way, because it was not planned. I went there and I was underconfident, but thankfully he, like, whatever things I suggested, he got interested. And I had to persevere a little bit. I had to follow up 2-3 times before he gave me a short-term project to assess my skills. He did not give me a funding immediately, and that's very natural of him. And many professors who are highly reputed, they really want to see your work first and then only have some faith in you. So I challenged myself. I was like, okay, now I have to work with this professor only on a NASA funded project. And then during the first semester, I was having a course with him. I performed well there. In the meantime, I also qualified my PhD qualifying exam. And then after that, he himself called me and said, Durgesh, we are ready to roll. It's time for me to give you a funded project. And then it was so nice of him, like giving me a choice as well. Like, for example, the first project he offered me, it was on turbulent boundary layer transition, which is an advanced concept in hypersonics, which is great, but it was not directly space related. So I told him I want something spacecraft related. And later on, he gave me a project related to spacecraft re-entry missions. So yeah, I think I will say one thing I changed about myself was having more faith and challenging myself into a new field where I had no experience at all, but I was really, really passionate. So I think, yeah, a lot of factors were involved in me getting successful there.
Thank you very much for this detailed answer, Durgesh.
Hope it helps.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. So I hope we have covered most of the questions now. So we will be sharing all the materials we shared today with all the registered participants via email. And we, of course, we would like you to stay connected with us. You can reach out to any of the WeLEAP members. You can check out our website. And the easiest way to connect with us is on our LinkedIn page. It has all the information and also upcoming events. And also some of the events which I have already hosted. You can check them out there. So with that, I would just thank everybody for joining and staying for longer. And I'll also thank Shreya and Ankita today for being here. This was our first webinar, so thank you for your patience while we were setting up everything, but we are learning a lot. And we are also learning a lot from the data we are collecting, like your questions and everything. So we are tailoring our content based on your needs. So hope to see you again in future. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening there in India.
Thank you everyone for joining. This was really great.
Thank you everyone for joining and thank you Durgesh for having us here.
Nilesh and Abhishek, you can also say hi if you want.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, it was a very great session. मुझे तो बहुत मजा आया.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
It's very motivating session. Thank you, ma'am. Bye bye.
Let's stay in touch.
Bye bye.
Thanks.